SpiderMan is back.
Oh, oh my gosh, the ring got messed up! This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have delivered.
This is your boy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash True Inferno. And I am back with another Spider-Man gameplay. So, last week I gave you guys my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2019. Now it's time for the movies. So, as we all know, we got a lot of interesting movies coming out. Most of them could be good. Some are way out there. But there's one thing that we can all agree on. There will be a lot of remakes this year. And if you can see my face, yeah, there you go with that. And I got a lot to cover. So let's not waste any time and let's get straight into it. We're going to start it off with number 10. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. That's a long title. But anywho, let's get on with this one right here. So basically, this is a spinoff from the Fast and the Furious series. So this one does not feature Vin Diesel as one of the main stars anyway. Instead, The Rock and Jason Statham will be the two main stars here. So basically, not much is known in terms of the plot for this movie, but what we do know is that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, who obviously will be Luke Hobbs, and Jason Statham, who is Deckard Shaw in the movie, apparently they're going to be working together in this movie. Now, in terms of what they'll be doing exactly, we don't know. We have no clue. And here's the thing, and then there's a little bit of controversy, and this is a funny one here. So now, obviously, this remake, or not the remake, but this spinoff was in the books for a good minute, ever since I want to say last year, if memory serves me correctly. And I'm trying to, yeah, it was last year. So basically, what happened is this. So when this spinoff was announced, Tyrese Gibson, who is like one of the stars from the Fast and Furious series, he basically posted a response on Instagram criticizing The Rock for causing the 9th Fast and Furious film to be delayed for another year, basically saying, this is how I make my money now. Like, I only make my money from these movies, and with the actual main Fast and Furious movie being pushed back to apparently 2020, I won't be making money. And then he went on. Oh gosh, that's another story for another day. But it was hilarious. That tirade that he went on was hilarious. But anywho, again, not much is known about this movie in terms of the plot, and this joint drops August 2nd of this year. So hopefully more about the plot will be released at some point this year. So we just have to wait and see. Now, let's move on to number 9. Dark Phoenix. Now, if memory serves me correctly, I believe this was one of the two movies that was supposed to come out last year, but they pushed it back to this year. So basically, Dark Phoenix is aka X-Men Dark Phoenix. So this is the next X-Men movie. So judging by the title, if you're like follow the Marvel Universe, or you've seen the original Phoenix movie that they did in the past, or if you've seen the animated series or read the comic book, anything like that, you know how this goes. But I'm gonna give you the premise anyway. In 1992, nearly a decade after the events of X-Men Apocalypse, which in memory serves me correctly was the last X-Men movie, the X-Men are national heroes going on increasingly risky missions. When a solar flare hits them during a rescue mission in space, Jean Grey loses control of her abilities and unleashes the Phoenix. So there you go with that. That's basically it for the premise. So basically, they got to deal with the Phoenix, who is inside of Jean Grey. Matt Needle, the character will be in this movie. Mystique will be in it as well. And no mention of Wolverine, which is very interesting, if I do say so myself. Now, in terms of anybody else who could be in this movie, Psylocke could be in this movie. I don't see anybody else that is interesting, because going off the anime, not the anime. I never seen the anime version of the X-Men, but the animated series, there was obviously, like the X-Men started off with trying to rescue Charles Xavier and and his girlfriend with the triangle hairstyle, or whatever, from the Juggernaut and his little band of misfits, or whatever. And then this one dude showed up who was stronger than the Juggernaut, and then this led to the X-Men going in space to dealing with that crew, because I think they tried to kill Jean Grey, who had the Phoenix inside of her, something like that. So there's no mentions of that crew in this movie at all. So it's gonna be interesting to see, like, they just got to deal with the Phoenix and that's it. Like, there got to be more to it than that. That's what I'm thinking. So it's going to be very, very interesting. This movie drops June the 7th of this year. Obviously, I'm going to see this movie. And I can't wait to see how this will turn out. And, you know, the last one, like I said, was Apocalypse. And Apocalypse was good, but it could have been better, obviously. But we have to wait to see how this goes. Now, let's move on to number 8. Joker. Now, yes, this is Joker from Batman from the DC Universe. Yes, that Joker. So this is going to be a very interesting movie because we get to learn about the Joker. So basically, here's the premise. This is a short one as well. In 1981, a failed stand-up comedian disregarded by the society that he lives in turns to a life of crime and chaos in Gotham City. That's it. And here's something I didn't know. Well, no, I probably read this before, but I really didn't give this a lot of thought. And that is this. Arthur Flex is the Joker. And I'm like, okay, I was always a little bit curious about the Joker's backstory. I heard and read many different things in regard to the Joker's backstory. Now, I'm not saying this is the one that would like determine the backstory of the Joker or anything like that. But I'm curious to see, how did the Jokers come to be? That's what I wanted to see. I obviously will be watching this movie, and this joint drops October 4th of this year. So that's interesting. So around, you know, the scariest time of the year, October, Halloween, things of the nature. And you got the Joker, who could be considered a scary criminal, a scary villain, not just in the DC universe, but in all of comic book history. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, speaking of scary, let's move on to the next movie listed on the list, and that is this, number 7, The New Mutants. Now, this joint was supposed to come out last year, but it was pushed back to this year. So this was the other movie that was pushed back, along with The Dark Phoenix. So this joint, ironically enough, comes out. Does it come out the same time as The Dark Phoenix? And I believe, no, it comes out the same time as the Fast and the Furious movie. Yeah. So yeah, both of these movies comes out August 2nd of this year. So again, I read the premise last year. I'm gonna give it to you again this year in case you didn't see it. 5 young mutants, just discovering their abilities, while held in a secret facility against their will, fight to escape their past sins and save themselves. So hearing that, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds interesting. But here's the thing, though, and you're probably wondering, like the thing that I said leading to this movie. Talk about, speaking of things scary. This is billed as a horror film in the superhero genre. So a superhero movie that is also a horror movie, and I'm like, what? Like, and this is in a part of the X-Men franchise or the X-Men universe or whatever. And again, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what? So I was really interested last year because of that. And I wanted to see it, but they pushed it back this year. And obviously I'm still going to see it. Now, looking at the characters here, and I mentioned this last year as well, and I think I'm going to mention it again this year, and that is this. There was only 2 characters that are confirmed to be in this movie that I recognize. And actually, three, because I wasn't because they didn't even mention this last year. Otherwise, I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be epic." But no, there's only 2, and the first one was Magic. If memory serves me correctly, Magik. And according to this, 1, this is a female, and 2, she is the sister of Colossus. So that's interesting. And the other one is Sunspot. That one is a little bit familiar to me, but I need to look that one up and see what's up with Sunspot, things of that nature. Now, the third character is apparently Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister is supposed to be in this movie. So that's going to be extremely interesting. Yeah, so that gives me another reason why I can't wait for this joint to drop. And again, drops August 2nd. Again, it is a superhero / horror film. So yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. All right, let's move on to number 6. Star Wars Episode 9. Yeah, so the trilogy, the sequel. Wait a minute, let me rephrase that. The third and final installment of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. There you go. And apparently this is the 9th and final installment of the Star Wars Skywalker saga. So that's going to be very interesting right here. Now, I will, before I get to how I feel about this movie, let me give you the info real quick. This joint drops December 20th of this year. And the movie is set 1 year after The Last Jedi, which was Episode 8. That was Episode 8. And not necessarily the last Star Wars movie that came out, because the last Star Wars movie that came out was a Han Solo story. And I will admit, now let me get to how I feel about, the last 2 Star Wars movies. The last 2 Star Wars movies were just okay. Episode 8 was still good, but it could have been better. While a Han Solo story was like, it's okay. So this one, they really got to pull out all the stops. That's why this one is low on the list, because, or not low, it's like in the middle of the pack instead of being higher on the list. But they, like, the last 2 movies, they gave me like a little bit of a reason to pause in terms of me going really crazy over this movie dropping this year. But obviously, well, of course, I'm still going to see this movie. I got to finish the trilogy here. So yeah, that is obviously happening. And this is going to, I think it's going to be good. Do I think it's going to be the best movie of the year? It could be. It has the potential to be the movie, the best movie of the year. I don't think it's going to do that though. But we have to wait and see. And we have a long time before this movie drops. So with that said, let's move on to the next one on the list. Number 5. Captain Marvel. Now, this one is the one a lot of people have been waiting for. Obviously, the other movies that a lot of people have been waiting for as well. But this one right here is one of the ones right here. So basically, Captain Marvel drops March 8th of this year, a day after my mom's birthday. And here's the deal with Captain Marvel. So basically, let me give you the premise. Set in 1995, Captain Marvel follows Carol Danvers, a former U.S. Air Force fighter pilot, as he turns into one of the galaxy's mightiest heroes and joins Star Force, an elite Kree military team, before returning home with questions about her past and identity when Earth is caught in the center of a galactic conflict between 2 alien worlds. So we talking the Kree, and I don't remember the other one. I forgot, and this may haunt me a little bit too. I feel like I should know this. It's the Kree. And who are their arch enemies? I forgot who the Kree arch enemies are. And again, this is going to bother me, so I need to look this up. The Kree arch enemies. Oh, I don't remember. The Skrulls? I think that's what I'm thinking of. The Skrulls. That's probably what I'm thinking of. The Skrulls. So yeah, the Kree. Yeah, the Kree and the Skrulls. Yeah, they've been going at it. So I think they would feature the Skrulls more likely, and they'll be going at it with each other. 'Cause I think the Skrulls can disguise themselves to be anybody. So you really can't trust anybody here. So, and obviously this is going to be shot in a time zone before Endgame. And we'll talk more about that later. So yeah, I can't wait for this movie to drop. And this movie going to be dropping early in this year. So we have to wait a bit, probably like 2 months or so. But not that long. Not in comparison to Star Wars Episode 9, where we basically got to wait a whole freaking year for that movie to drop. But, getting back on topic, Captain Marvel should be a really good movie. Can't wait for it to drop. Now, let's move on to number 4, The Lion King. Well, I'm looking at this list, right? And this is, not only did we finally get to a remake, but this is the only remake that made my top 10. And here's the deal about The Lion King. For those of you who don't know, I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. The animated movie, The Lion King, rather, is one of my all-time favorite movies. So, obviously, we got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. We got Straight Outta Compton. Ready Player One joined that list. I believe there was one more movie that was up there. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I got to think about it. But The Lion King, without question, is one of my all-time favorite movies. So for them to come out with a remake of this movie, it's supposed to be a photorealistic, computer animated remake, rather. It's going to be interesting, and the voice acting that they got here is like really good. So we're talking Donald Glover, Seth Rogen, Beyonce supposed to be here, and James Earl Jones supposed to be brought back. And I'm like, y'all couldn't bring back Whoopi Goldberg? Like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? Like, y'all couldn't bring back Whoopi Goldberg? Like, what? So I sincerely doubt I need to go over the plot of this movie, because that would be spoiler alert right here. So now, in terms of when this movie drops July the 19th of this year. And it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting because I'm going to be highly critical of this movie. Because, again, The Lion King is one of my all-time favorite movies. The animated film, that is. So, if they mess this up, I'm going to be highly pissed. I'm going to be severely pissed off. Now, granted, there are some remakes that Disney did. And I was like, yo, this joint is dope. Like, for example, The Jungle Book. I actually like The Jungle Book aside from the whole singing parts. But aside from that, the Jungle Book movies, I really like those. And I thought they were pretty good. And I can't think of another remake that I saw that I like. Now off the top of my head. But anywho, The Lion King, Disney, please do not mess this up. Because again, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. Especially since when I saw this, I was a kid. And I need to get like the Blu-ray. I don't even have a copy of this. So like, and the one thing that I've been doing is owning copies of all my all-time favorite movies. And so far I own Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Strata Compton. I need to get Ready Player One, and I need to get The Lion King. So those two need to happen. And I may put the Incredible Part 1, that is, up there. So I may need to get that as well. But that's another story for another day. Now let's get on to my top 3. Number 3. SpiderMan Far From Home. Now, as I'm recording this, right, today's date is Wednesday, January the 16th. We saw the trailer the day before. Like, they released the trailer at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, January the 15th. And I saw the trailer, and I'm like, yo, this is going to be very interesting. This joint drops July the 15th. And there's some controversy about this movie already. And I'm like, really? And the controversy is this. When does this movie take place? Does it take place before Avengers 4 and Endgame or after? And it was confirmed. I'm going to let you guys know right now. This movie take place after Endgame. So you have a pretty good idea of how this will go. Because you probably thinking, but wait a minute. Wasn't Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, a victim of the whole Thanos snapping his fingers thing? Yeah, he was. But the fact that he's having a movie coming out this year, obviously something happened where he is back. He is brought back. That should not spoil the ending to Endgame in the end. Okay, but anywho, because we don't know how he's going to be brought back, so, and again, this, and the Endgame comes out before this, so we don't have to worry about that at all. But Far From Home going to be very interesting. Okay, let me give you the premise real quick. After the events of Avengers Endgame, there you go right there, Peter Parker goes on a school trip to Europe with his friends. While aboard, he is recruited by Nick Fury to team up with Mysterio to battle the Elementals. So I'm like, yeah, Mysterio going to be in this movie. Quentin Beck, yeah. And the Elementals, I saw what appeared to be Sandman, and I forgot what this dude's name. But if you've seen Spider-Man, the animated series, and possibly read the comics, but there was this one dude who turned himself into water and can use water as attacks and things of that nature. Now, in the animated series, he was once like, and this is gonna be very interesting, this part right here, if this is the same guy, because in the animated series, he was Mary Jane's ex-boyfriend who was highly obsessed with Mary Jane, and like he tried to force her to get back with him, and that was obviously not the case. So in the movie, in the comments, there is a team called the Elementals, and there is a member named Hydron who have aquatic powers, and obviously he have the ability to control water. Now, Also part of the squad is somebody named Magnum, who have the ability that allow manipulation of earth, minerals, and rock. So this could potentially not be the Sandman. We don't know for a fact, but yeah, that's going to be interesting. So I don't know if this going to be Sandman. He obviously got to be mentioned. Like when I saw this dude controlling rock and sand and stuff like that, it was only for like what, a second or two. There were no mention of the word Sandman or the name Sandman, anything like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see, you know, who the guy is, whether it was Sandman or Magnum or, you know, whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And obviously, I can't wait for this movie to drop. Cause I like the first Spider-Man movie. I thought it was extremely good. And I can't wait for this one to drop. So there you go with that. Now let's move on to number 2. Men in Black International. I saw this trailer, I want to say 2 weeks ago. And now here's the deal. This, if memory serves correctly, this is a spin-off / sequel of the Men in Black series. And it's been a long time since they came out with a Men in Black movie. And I saw this trailer for this and I'm like, this looks pretty good. Like I'm genuinely excited about this movie. So this joint drops June 14th of this year. And obviously I'm going to see this movie. I've seen all of the Men in Black movies. And I can't wait for this one to drop. This is going to be extremely interesting. And I can't wait for it to drop. Now, here's the premise. A London-based team of MIB, Men in Black, obviously, secret agents become involved in a murder mystery that sends them traveling the globe. And that's basically it. Now, so far, there's no mention of Tommy Lee Jones or Will Smith, and that is a good thing. Because if they do make a cameo, keep it a secret. Keep it a secret. Do not spoil it. Do not spoil that. Don't spoil that. Just don't do it. Now, Emma Thompson will be back in this one as Agent O. Apparently, she was in Men in Black 3, and Agent O at the time was the head of the U.S. branch of MIB. So she'll be back here now. In what capacity, I have no clue. But either way, I can't wait for this movie to drop. This joint is going to be good. Now, before I move on to my come on now, we also know what number 1 on the list here. There is no surprise here in comparison to last year when I shocked a lot of people. But let's get on with the honorable mentions. So I'm going to name off some movies. Some I'm going to talk about. And within those groups of movies that I'm going to name and talk about for a little bit, I will try to see. And others, I would just name and just keep it moving. So we got, and again, we talk about remakes here. Charlie's Angels, Terminator 6, Son of Chef, Hellboy. So Charlie's Angels and Hellboy are 2 remakes right there. Now let's move on to other honorable mentions. Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I know we've seen the posters and people are clowning and basically shitting on this movie. The reason why this is an honorable mention for me is this. Here's the thing. Obviously, since I like to play video games, especially that was the case like a few years back, and especially when I was younger, my all-time favorite video game character is Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, forget Mario, forget Crash Bandicoot, forget Link, forget Donkey Kong. It was all about Sonic the freaking Hedgehog for me. So, for them to come out with this and with how the trailer looked and things of that nature, yeah, people are clowning this movie. If they bounce back and the movie have the potential to be good, I will see it. Because, again, I am a big-time Sonic the Hedgehog fan. But if I see the trailer and it looks as every bit as garbage as the posters do, I am not watching this movie. I am not going to just, like, ruin, like, get that image of a crappy Sonic the Hedgehog movie in my mind and then just discredit it, Sonic the Hedgehog as a whole because of the movie. I'm not doing that. Like, I kind of done that with Avatar The Last Airbender. I am not doing that with Sonic the Hedgehog. There is no way. Let's move on. Are You Afraid of the Dark? So, Nickelodeon coming out with an Are You Afraid of the Dark movie. And this is going to be somewhat interesting. It depends on where they go with this movie. Now, obviously, they came out with a Legends of the Hidden Temple movie, which was I wouldn't say a giant, but it was still a WTF moment. I'm dead serious. But with Are You Afraid of the Dark, here's why this could be interesting. if they make this like really scary to the point where some of these kids could actually, well, obviously, like, okay, let me rephrase. Let me say what I'm about to say, and then let me explain it. If they make this movie where some of these kids, because more likely this is going to feature kids, where some of these kids could actually die, this could be good. Now, the movie could be good. Now, and obviously in America, like there's a law, if memory serves me correctly, there's a law where you cannot showcase kids dying. Japan, they have no such law. So obviously the likes of some of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, yeah, like there was a teenager who got electrocuted in the Yu-Gi-Oh, 5D anime. And when they brought that over here, and obviously 4 kids got their hands on, oh gosh, 4 kids. They obviously censored that part out and they couldn't show it. So in this case, if they made it really scary, Are You Afraid of the Dark? If they made it really scary, this could be good. But if they make this kid friendly, I'm like, no. So if this is going to be in theaters, I'm not going to see it right away. I'm going to wait and see what people say about it. Like if this is like a kid scary movie, I'm not watching it. But if it's like a legit scary movie, I'm going to be like, hey, girl who I just met, you want to see this movie with me? Because I'm not seeing that by myself. All right, let's move on. Another remake, The Addams Family. So The Addams Family, yes, they finally, wow, it's been a minute, but they finally remaking The Addams Family. It's been a minute since they've done anything with The Addams Family, to be honest. And I've seen both the original Addams Family movies, like both of them. Really a fan of the second one. And for them to remake the Addams Family movie, it's pretty interesting. I may go out and see it. Depends on how people viewed it. Like, if it got good reviews, then I'll go watch it. If it don't, then I ain't gonna waste my time. Toy Story 4. A number of people has been waiting for this movie to drop. And the reason why it's not on my list because I'm a little not iffy, but like Toy Story have not really been my cup of tea. Now let me be clear. I seen Toy Story 1. I think I seen part of 2, but I never seen 3. So one of these days before Toy Story 4 comes out, like if my movie squad wants to see Toy Story 4, I'm watching Toy Story 4 with them. I'm not naive. Like I will go and watch that movie, but I will not purposely go out and watch that movie by myself. So this is one of those movies where if my movie squad goes and watch it, I will watch it with them. But if they don't, I'm not watching it. It's that simple. Frozen 2. So Frozen 2 is another movie that's not exactly, now this is definitely not my cup of tea. You know, I don't hate Frozen, but you know, I never saw it and I heard how good it was, and even though I could watch it because like all I gotta do is just like borrow the DVD from my mom and watch it. But it was never my cup of tea. So for Frozen 2 to drop, I'm like, cool. They're gonna get a lot of money from that. And even though Frozen going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3, which I cannot wait for, still not gonna see this movie. Now, the list of movies are higher in my honorable mention list, and the majority of these movies I will try to go and see. Not definitely, but try to go see. Child's Play, another remake. Now, I don't really mess with scary movies and horror and hack and slash and things of that nature nowadays, but out of all the scary movies that ever existed, I like the Child's Play franchise real early on anyway, like Child's Play and Child's Play 2. Child's Play 3, if I remember how it went. I saw it and I thought it was pretty cool. But I really like Child's Play 2. That was my favorite. That's my all-time favorite scary movie. Child's Play 2, to me, is the best scary movie of all time. So for them to remake Child's Play is very interesting. Now, again, I would like to see this, but I'd rather not see it by myself. There is no way I can see that movie by myself. I will admit to you guys. So I'll be like, hey, girl I just met, you want to see Child's Play with me? Moving on. Fighting with My Family. So this is the WWE movie based on the life of Paige, who was a WWE superstar, but because of an injury, she was forced into retirement. And I'm debating on whether or not I want to see this movie or not. I don't know. If it got good reviews, then I would go and see it. If it don't, then I won't go and see it. Shazam. Another DC movie right here. This is based off the superhero Shazam. And the reason why it didn't make my top 10 was because there was 10 movies. Actually, there was a few more movies I think would be better than that. And I don't have high hopes for this movie. So there you go with that. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So I've seen the first Godzilla movie that came out 2014. So that's why I have to go see this one. But again, my hopes for this one isn't all that high, but they're slightly higher than Shazam. So there you go with that. Aladdin. Aladdin is another one. Really, and when you name like my all-time favorite Disney movies, obviously Lion King is number one. Number two would be The Incredibles. Number three, basically in my top five, Aladdin is up there. I really like the Aladdin franchise by Disney anyway. I was aware there was an Aladdin movie that came out before Disney got their hands on it. But I like Aladdin. I like Aladdin Return of the Jafar, and the third movie was okay. And of course, the animated series was pretty cool too. So for them to remake Aladdin is going to be, again, I'm going to be looking at it the same way I look at the Lion King remake. Do not mess this up, Disney. Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Now, if you're a part of the Pokemon Go community like I am, then a lot of people have been raving about this movie. I think I'm going to go and see this movie. I'd rather see it with not necessarily my movie crew, but like somebody from the Pokemon Go community. Like if we all just so happen to be in the same town and this movie drops, we like, yeah, let's try to see it. But I can see myself seeing this movie by myself. So yeah, there you go with that. Jumanji 3. So this would be the sequel to the last Jumanji movie that came out featuring The Rock and I forgot his name, and somebody, oh my, I can't believe I forgot his name. Kevin Hart, there we go. And that movie was phenomenal. Like, that movie was phenomenal. Now, the reason why it is not, like, and here's the thing about these two movies that I'm about to name. Jumanji 3 and the next one. I sincerely doubt that they're coming out this year. There's not a lot of information. Like, they do not have their own Wikipedia page. Like, they're sharing their Wikipedia page with another, Wikipedia page. So, like, Jumanji 3 is like a paragraph under the Jumanji franchise Wikipedia page or something like that. So it don't have its own Wikipedia page. Therefore, I doubt it's coming out this year. It may be pushed back to next year. That's why it's in my honorable mentions. But if there was more info for Jumanji 3, like it had its own Wikipedia page, yeah, best believe this would make my top 10 without question. Kingsman, the great game. Same thing here, there's not a lot of information on this one. Again, if you look up the Kingsman, the great game, it will take you to the Kingsman franchise Wikipedia page. So it don't have its own Wikipedia page. There's not a lot of info on this, but best believe again, if there was more info, if it had its own Wikipedia page, I would truly believe that this movie will be coming out this year, and it would be much like the Kingsman, the great game would be in my top 5, like without question. I will admit, the first Kingsman movie I saw, I really, really liked it. The second one, I liked it, but I felt like part 1 was better. So with this one will obviously be up like top 5 in my list, but I doubt it'll be coming out this year. So that's why it's in my honorable mention. But take my top honorable mention spot ahead of Jumanji 3. Now, speaking of the top spot, let's move on to number 1. Avengers Endgame. Okay, now we can all agree this is the most anticipated movie that is dropping this year, and this is the one I can't wait for the most. So yeah, there's no other surprise like what was last year, The Incredibles 2 and things of that nature. No, so this is the one right here. So basically, we all know the premise of this movie to some degree. This is basically the sequel, the direct sequel to Avengers Infinity War, which came out last year, and this is the one that we all been waiting for. Like, how do they fix everything that happened in the last one, Avengers Infinity War? And the question still remains, because remember, when Avengers Infinity War was coming out, everybody and their mama was asking, who's gonna die? Is Iron Man gonna die? Is Thor gonna die? Is Captain America gonna die? Somebody's going to die in this movie. And even though we've seen some characters die, like for example, Thor's daughter, who is the part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, she died, and Ultron died. Not Ultron, but I forgot his name. Vision died, obviously, and Loki died, and everybody who was affected by the snap died, if you can call them dead or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, how they're going to be brought back, and if anybody else is going to die in this movie. So it's going to be very interesting, and a lot of people are going to be in this one. So Ant-Man going to be in this one, Captain Marvel going to be in this one, obviously. It's going to be extreme, and Hawkeye going to be in this one. It's going to be extremely interesting. In fact, Also, Pepper Potts going to be in this one as well. It's going to be extremely interesting to see all the characters in this one and how it's going to play out. I cannot wait to see this movie. This is without question the most anticipated movie of the year. This joint drops April 26th of this year. I cannot wait for this movie to drop, man. So all these questions can be answered. And that's it. That's basically the list of movies that I can't wait for to drop this year. So with that said, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, the new Jay Gatsby, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.